demonstration is going to be on how to set up all of your equipment and gear for the CO2 climate change lab. And let me just go over all the pieces and parts you're going to need first. First of all, you need a sample jar, and of course this removable top. But also you'll need to fill up just the bottom portion of it with either these beads, or we have also some rocks or soil to actually mimic the Earth's surface. So that's one of the things you're going to need, sample jar. Also what you're going to need are two AirLink 2s. Notice, if you will, this is going to allow us to take data wirelessly and through Bluetooth. Just make sure that it's the AirLink 2. Also make sure that it has its unique number that we will show you in just a second on how to use that. So you need two of them. Two AirLink 2s. Another thing you'll need for a sensor box is something that the fast response temperature probe can hook up into. It could be, the chemistry sensor. It could be just regular temperature sensor. It could also be this quad temperature sensor, because you're only going to use one channel anyway. So there's a lot of different ones that you can use. Just grab one out of the satchel or the bag that has all the equipment in it. Just pick out the one that this is the fast response temperature probe. Make sure that this end can attach to one of the plugins right here. I'm going to just put it on channel number 1. That'll probably access channel number 3. I'm going to put in channel number 1 right on the top. So that works really well. And of course, kind of the big daddy here is the CO2 sensor. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be measuring the amount of CO2 in the sample jar, and see if we increase the CO2 in the sample jar. What will happen to the temperature inside of it once there is a light on the sample jar? So CO2 sensor, sample jar, two AirLink 2s, and a temperature box, as well as the fast response temperature probe. That's what you'll need for each two of you. They'll be working on it. Also, the instructor should be carrying around this thing. And this is the CO2 gun, and this is actually used for, it's kind of a miniature bike pump, so that, if you're riding your bike and you need to have a fast fill up, you can just quickly put some CO2 in it and inflate your tire. And then, of course, some kind of lamp. Now, the lamp that we're using is high intensity, so it gets really, really hot, which is kind of the point. If you use a fluorescent bulb or LEDs in particular, you're not going to get a lot of temperature, so you need something that's going to generate a little bit of heat. Not too much to melt the jar, but you'll definitely need that for your lab. And one last thing that I almost forgot is the CO2 cable extension. It has two parts. It has this end right here will actually go into the end of the CO2 sensor, right, like that. And then this end actually plugs into the AirLink, right in there like that. So those are all the pieces and parts. So I'm going to let you have a moment to go gather your parts and reassemble them, and then I'll show you how to do the setup. See you in a bit. Now, once you've got everything set up, you got all your gear assembled, got your lamp, you and your partner need to, the next step is to start preparing your iPad as well as your AirLink 2s to be able to be shared. And the way you do that is you take the AirLink 2, and there's a button right here on the side. You're going to turn that on. And when you turn it on, you'll notice that there is a green blinking light. That means it's ready to receive and or send any Bluetooth signals, so you can match this up with your iPad. So that's going to be one of them, and then I'm going to get another one. Same kind of process. This particular switch on the side needs to be turned on, and then if you notice again, there's going to be that green light. Now, once those are on or armed, what they're going to do is send a signal to your iPad to be able to pair it. So in order for it to actually take the temperature, you have to put the amplifier box right into the AirLink like this. Make sure it's still blinking. Make sure your probe is actually attached. Now, on the AirLink for the CO2 sensor, which is this bad boy right here, you're going to take this end. Notice you have your little dado or groove right here. You're going to match it up with a groove or a ridge that's right there. So I'm going to take that. Don't force them. Just just very carefully put it in, and it should slide in without too much of a problem. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these over to the iPad, and we're going to show you how to pair them. All right, now that we've got our probes and our air links set up and are transmitting a Bluetooth signal, what we're going to do next is we're going to pair them up with our iPad. So we're going to click on Settings, and then we're going to, as you can see right here, we have the airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and that's what we want to click on is Bluetooth. And when you do that, you should begin to see, there they are. You can see AirLink 2, that's hooked up to our temperature probe. So we're going to go ahead and click on that once. And as you do that, it's pairing, it says connected. So the next thing is we're going to do our CO2 sensor. And that unique number there is 2375. So I'm going to click on that. And then it says it is, well, we'll wait for it to be connected. Please make sure you have them turned on and them blinking. And then when they are connected, there it is, and it's connected. So now we're ready to start. So what we're going to do is now set up our screen. So you're going to click on the Spark View app that's on your iPad. And then you can see there's a variety of different experiments listed there, but we're going to make our own build. So we're going to click on Build, and it's going to ask for a firmware update. Disregard that, just press OK. You're going to hit click Build. And then you're going to be having to choose a variety of different windows. You can see the backgrounds there. And we want basically 2 windows, so we're going to click on this once. And now what we're going to do is we're going to select one that's going to record a temperature and one that's going to record the CO2. So, and we want them in graph form. So right here is where it says, or the little icon that has a graph, you're going to click on that one once. And then on this graph, if you notice, it says select measurement. So we're going to click select the measurement. And what we're going to be measuring on the y-axis is the temperature. And so we're going to click on measurement, and we're on temperature channel number 1, and we want to record it in Celsius. So we're going to press OK. And then we're going to do the same thing over here, but we're going to look for a CO2. So click on the graph, click on select measurement. And the measurement where you want is parts per million in CO2 concentration. So we're going to click on that, and I'm going to press OK. Now, as you can see, we're all set up, and we can start recording data. And to give you an idea of what it's going to look like, we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We're going to click on that, and it's starting to record. And then we'll click on this one as well, and it's recording both at the same time. So as you can see in this particular room here, we got some level of CO2 that's measuring, as well as the temperature in this room. So that gives you kind of an idea of how to get it set up on the iPad. And so next thing I want to show you is how to calibrate the CO2 sensor. What I want to show you next is how to actually calibrate the carbon dioxide gas sensor. And when you first power it up, you know this green light is going to be blinking. And to calibrate it, all you have to do is click that button once. Just click it once. And then click it once until it stops blinking. There we go. There we go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to let this thing set for about 2 or 3 minutes. And then when it starts clicking or blinking again, then we know that it's calibrated. So let me come back to you in about 2 minutes. Okay, now it's clicking. It should be actually recording the correct amount of CO2. Typically, in a classroom, we're going to have about 300 to 600 parts per million. So I'm going to remove that. We're going to hit play, and we're going to see what level of CO2 we have in the classroom. And so I'm going to let it run a little bit, and I'm going to bring it up. It looks like 0. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and auto scale it. And there we go. Okay, once it levels out, we're going to give it a chance for it to level out, and there it goes. A little bit right now, but now we have it calibrated, and it should be able to be ready for use. What I'd like to show you now are the 4 basic runs that you're going to have in this lab. There are 4 of them. One is a control where we're going to have no light and no extra CO2, just atmospheric CO2. That's why it's important to have this lid off and let it sit for a few minutes in the class. All runs are to be run for 10 minutes. And so the first run looks like this. You're going to go ahead and put the thermometer, the fast response temperature probe, don't let it touch the sides, and then you're going to put this CO2 probe right after it, like this. So this is what the first run is going to look like. You're going to let it run for 10 minutes, and notice you put it about 3 or 4 inches away from this lamp, but don't turn it on. Don't turn it on at all. So that establishes our control. So that's run 1. Once you have let it run for 10 minutes, obviously you will turn it off on your iPad, hit the green arrow, and then the next one you're going to turn on the lamp and get it that same 2 or 3 inches away, and you're going to let it run for 10 minutes for the second run. Remember, this is run number 2, and then run number 2 is going to be run for 10 minutes. What we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and put some extra CO2 in it for run number 3. And we're going to do that, first of all, without any light. So in order to do that, you're going to need the instructor to come by, and you're going to crack this open, take the CO2 off, probe off. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to be using this tire filler, and this is a CO2 version, so I have a little CO2 cartridge right there, and we're going to just pop this end in right here, and then I'm going to just hit this button just very, very quickly, and that's going to put some extra CO2 in that jar, and without the light, we're going to see if indeed the pressure goes up at all. So, pop this open, slide that in. Okay, got some extra CO2 in there. I think you hear it pop. So now what we're going to do is leave it just like this. No, this is run number 3. It has, the light will be off, so it has extra CO2, no light, run number 3. Okay, for run number 4, we're now going to turn on the lamp. We're going to leave the same amount of CO2 in the jar. This is run number 4, and run number 4 has the extra CO2 in it, and now the lamp on. All right, now that you have all the data, you're going to be able to crunch the numbers. Make sure you send all your data to your G drive so that you can now do the analysis. And the analysis, what you're going to do is report that on your website. There are some questions, but first of all, you got to put your data in, and then you answer the questions on this. And really, is CO2 really acting like an insulating blanket? Well, we're going to find out when we see your results. All right, thanks.